New Testament lesson is from 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 8 to 11. Above all, love each other deeply, because love covers over a multitude of sins. Offer hospitality to one another without grumbling. Each of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others, as faithful stewards of God's grace in its various forms. If anyone speaks, they should do so as one who speaks the very words of God. If anyone serves, they should do so with the strength God provides, so that in all things God may be praised through Jesus Christ. To him be the glory and the power forever and ever. Amen. This is the word of God for the people of God.
Thanks be to God.
Jesus was said to have learned carpentry from Joseph, building and repairing physical structures. As time progressed, Jesus came to be the figure we follow and attempt to emulate today. Jesus would build up the spirits and repair the lives and the physical bodies of his disciples and other followers. So much of his spiritual work and his mission is analogous of building a house. Jesus created a strong foundation and told God's people, anyone who listens to my teaching and follows it is wise, like a person who builds a house on solid rock. Though the rain comes in torrents and the floodwaters rise and the winds beat against the house, it won't collapse because it is built on bedrock. He provided his disciples with a framework of how to follow him and how to lead holy lives, transcribed and passed down through generations in a collection of stories, our Bible. All of his disciples, and all of us today, the electrical, the plumbing, the insulation that keeps the house warm, safe, and functioning, serving the greater structure. A house cannot simply be built and stand against the elements and the test of time without ongoing maintenance, structural soundness, and support. All of us here today, within this house, that God and his Son Jesus built, here to hear the stories of three incredibly powerful young women, the experiences they have had on mission and in the service of God's people. It is now with great pleasure that I introduce to you our speakers for today, Emma and Beth Deary, and Delia Grace.
My name is Delia Grace, and this was my fourth mission trip this past year. RISE stands for Risingville Intercommunity Service Effort. It was formed through Chatham United Methodist Church 40 summers ago. RISE's goal and slogan is making homes warmer, safer, and drier. And every team on RISE works on a house in rural New York State to accomplish one or all of these things. Sparta Team 1's project was to repair a poorly done roof that was leaking. Our homeowner, Mary, was a single woman who had been scammed by a contractor who happened to be her neighbor and could not afford to hire someone else to repair her roof. Sparta 1 was an all-girls team with the exception of our chaperone Mike. Grace, Katie, Annika, Julia, and I were all eager to begin working on the roof. We began Monday morning by ripping up shingles and taking out nails. The section of the roof that we were working on was bare by the end of the day. Mary had brought out chairs and cookies and sat aside with us. She cheered us on and supported us any way she could. Mary is an administrator at the Friendship Central School, and she's actively involved in after-school programs for the community's youth. The only time she wasn't on site with us was when she was at a community baseball game that she organized. Her kind and selfless nature inspired us even more to do our mission. We used a staple hammer, which is the coolest tool ever, to lay down the tar paper and the rain guard. The black rain guard made working on the roof almost unbearable, but we pushed through. Once we began shingling, we ran into some issues, but again, we pushed through. Shingling the roof took 2 very confusing days. We persevered through the problems and finished a roof we were extremely proud of. Mary was very grateful. I was constantly amazed at how hardworking the girls on my team were. Whenever a person was needed on the roof, There was a race to see who could put their tool belt and gloves on and get to the ladder first. The runner-up would be asked to hold the ladder as the winner went up. I am so grateful that I was put on a team with such amazing people, chaperones included. After working every day, we returned to the school, showered, and relaxed before dinner, which often meant, especially for Katie, sleeping. We crossed the street to the Methodist Church and ate dinner, served by our cook Becky. Becky's cooking is truly some of the best food I've ever had. Having such delicious breakfast, lunch, and dinner made the experience even better. After dinner we went back to the gym and waited for program. Program is led by one of the members of the staff team, Wayne, and it is a way to take a step back, think through why you came on Rise, and remember that all things are possible through God. We always watch the slideshow of pictures that Wayne took of all the teams at the end of the day. Rise is my favorite week of the year. Even though there are always things to complain about, they fade in your memory and only leave the best parts. I feel so blessed that I got to experience such a wonderful thing with the teams from Sparta UMC. I would like to thank the people of Sparta UMC and Sean for giving us the opportunity to go on Rise and help those who need it the most. I'd like to thank Colin, Laura, Scott, Mike, and Jenny for chaperoning us. It wouldn't have been half as fun without you guys. And lastly, I want to thank Emma, Beth, Grace, Katie, Annika, Julia, Will, and Nathaniel for making this trip so unforgettable.
Good morning. So, for those of you who don't know me, or those of you who don't know the difference between my sister and I, my name is Emma Deary. I just turned 17, and I'm going to be a senior at Sussex Tech, but that doesn't really matter. Sean asked me to speak today about my experiences this year from both the Rise mission trip and the Joshua Generation's Civil Rights Pilgrimage, which were two unique experiences that I was lucky to be a part of this summer. First, the most recent trip I took was to Friendship, New York, with the rest of the youth and our dedicated chaperones. This was my second year on Rise and my 5th mission trip with SUMC, and most likely my last. So while I am sad to know this, I'm glad to have experienced so much. Now, I'll be honest, I wasn't exactly thrilled when we pulled up and found out that we would all be staying in a small gymnasium, girls and boys, together. But the company of friends made everything a lot better. I unfortunately wasn't able to stay for the entire week, and I had to leave Thursday morning. But Rise still taught me a lot in a short amount of time I was there. I learned that two small, fuzzy, black and white circles tucked away under a gutter are not, in fact, kittens, but are baby skunks. Now, luckily, our group didn't have to pay for this unfortunate discovery. They didn't spray us. But I let out one killer scream. I saw Colin and Laura bust down some moves while we blasted classics such as I Want You Back, Ain't No Mountain High Enough, and play that funky music in the hot afternoon sun. I saw Nate, Will, and Adam, and Mr. Scott hold groups bigger than my head. But most importantly, I saw just how 3 days of labor could bring our group closer together. I miss a lot of things about Rise. I miss the late night games of volleyball with a beach ball. I miss the picnic we had Wednesday night, the huge bonfire, giant swings, and hay rides go along with it. But the one thing I miss the most are the friendly faces of the staff, their incredible kindness and their generosity towards the members of the friendship community and our mission teams. But I wouldn't have been able to experience or miss any of this if it wasn't for your support. So truly, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. I'd also like to take this time to reflect on the experiences I had traveling through Georgia, Mississippi, and Alabama at the beginning of the summer. Beth and I found out that we'd been accepted to the Joshua Generation program last summer, a program focused on educating a group of high school kids from all over New Jersey about our country's past, present, and future, and creating leaders of tomorrow for social and racial justice. The fact that we were all from New Jersey, all over, is a little disappointing because I don't get to see one of my very best friends because she lives all the way in Atlantic City. but we still stay in touch. I know it sounds like a lot. We met once a month leading up to our trip, and finally, on June 22nd, we flew out of Newark Airport, headed for home. Every day, we met with incredible people that had such interesting stories to tell. I actually got to meet Martin Luther King Jr.'s older sister, Willie Christie King Ferris. Yes, she's still alive. I met her at the Ebenezer Baptist Church Sunday service, which I was fortunate enough to attend. I saw some incredibly historic places such as the 16th Street Baptist Church, Ebenezer Baptist Church, MLK's childhood home, and many more places. But there was one experience that truly struck a chord within me, which was when we drove up to this little shed off of a dirt road in the Mississippi Delta. Now, out of curiosity, we only had one person raise their hand, and they knew who this person was, but could you just raise your hand real quick if you know who the name Emmett Till is? Raise your hand. There we go, we have more people who know. All right, so Emmett Till was only 14 years old when he was kidnapped and brutally and mercilessly beaten to death and dumped in the river for the color of his skin. So I'm just going to go off script here and really quick. Emmett Till, I now realize, was a big part of our journey, not only through our actual pilgrimage, but through the lessons that we had. And we also took another additional trip to Washington, D.C. for a weekend. And we went to the National Museum of African American History and Culture, and we saw his original coffin that he was buried in. So, and then when we met with a lot of people during our journey, we would ask them the question, who inspires you? Or where do you find hope? And a lot of them answered with youth and with Emmett Till. So it was his death that truly lit a match. There's Emmett Till, actually. It was his death that truly lit a match for the civil rights movement. That little shed right there is the place that he was taken to. There was no plaque to commemorate its historical significance. It was in fact a part of someone's property. And we even had to find this shed by comparing it to the pictures that we found on Google. There were no directions on how to get here, which really speaks for itself. So, to say the least, it was a very emotional experience. Once we got in the vans and started driving, one of our chaperones reached over and turned on the radio. We had purchased a Freedom Rider CD filled with traditional songs sung during the movement. As our tires began to kick up clouds along the dirt road, this song came on. Now, I don't have a video to play it, but I'm just going to sing a little bit of it real quick. It's a bit of a rendition, so you might recognize the tune, but they changed the words a little bit to match their movement. So it goes like this. I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. So that song came on the radio, and of course it had all of the gospel choirs in the background. But for those of you who know me, you know that music is a big part of my life. And music speaks on so many different levels that I can't even. So the fact that that exact song came on as we were driving away just brought tears to my eyes. It reminded me that while Emmett never received the justice that he deserved during his lifetime, his death sparked a revolution that would forever change our country. A revolution that is still going on today. If you'd like to hear more about my experiences, please just ask. I'd love to talk more about them. Thank you for giving me these stories to tell and the chance to be able to see a lot of what I saw this summer. Thank you.
Those were two truly incredible speeches, so it's going to be kind of hard to follow that. So for those of you who haven't figured it out or can't tell the difference between me and my sister, I am Beth Jury, and I'm here to talk to you about my experience both with the Sumc mission trip and with the Joshua Generation Pilgrimage. Emma gave you all a brief summary of our mission trip to Friendship, New York, and our pilgrimage down south to Georgia, Alabama, and Mississippi. So I'd like to tie all of our experiences together under one common concept: hope. Hope, as defined by Webster Dictionary, is to cherish a desire with anticipation, to want something to happen or to be true. Although this is true, I believe that I learned a whole new definition of hope this summer and have seen firsthand how it can band people together. Hope isn't just a word or a feeling. Hope is a group of young adults and chaperones devoting a week to do God's work by nailing, screwing, and digging, and dancing. Hope is having the opportunity to meet other youth from different churches in New Jersey with the same passion for serving our greater community. Hope is knowing that there are people out there who are working and fighting day by day to make a change. Hope is learning about the past and the present and using it to better our future. Hope is making connections and friendships with other youth that are wise beyond their years. Believe it or not, hope is all around us, and I see so much hope in this congregation right now. And we can all find it in our own unique ways. Now, just because you haven't heard me say the word hope enough times, I'd like to talk specifically about how I found hope in Friendship, New York. My team, Sparta Group 2, besides from being the better group, sorry Delia, we were fiercely led by Lauren, Colin, and Scott. With their guidance, Emma, Nathaniel, Will, Adam, and I worked our butts off to renovate an older woman's porch. We did just about everything from digging post holes to building a ramp and clearing out weeds and finding stumps. Although I can still vividly remember how hot it got or how tiring it was to dig a hole over 3 feet into the ground, what I do remember most isn't the hard work, it's the small things, the golden screws, the stories, the gas station pit stops, the ice cream, the soccer games, the stream adventures, the connections. Going off script a little bit, I think one of my favorite memories, we were outside playing soccer, and all of a sudden we saw this little girl come riding around on her bike around the little school that we were staying at. And she stopped and saw that we were playing soccer and ran down to join us. And she comes running up to me and she's like, "Hi." And I was like, "Hey." She's like, "My name's Robin. I play soccer." And I was like, "That's cool." So on the last day, she found me and she gave me a bracelet that I still have to this day. Looking back, this year was one of my favorite mission trips so far, so I seriously cannot thank the sponsors or the chaperones or the staff at RISE or my friends enough. Changing gears a bit, I'd like to finally reflect on my pilgrimage with the Joshua generation. Don't get me wrong, the mission trip was amazing, but if I had to choose a favorite trip, this might be it. I've never experienced something more moving, more life-changing than our 7 days down south. Before I delve into the details about this incredible experience, let me just clarify. Yes, it was a pilgrimage, but we were not sailing in the Mayflower. We were not wearing funny-looking hats. Our trip to Georgia, Alabama, and Mississippi was a group of lucky New Jersey teens hungry for knowledge and ready to take the next step. I've never experienced anything like our brief time in the Delta. As Emma mentioned before, we had been meeting monthly for preparation, but quite honestly, I don't think any amount of classes or courses could have prepared me for our experiences. I have learned about the civil rights movement on a much more deeper and emotional level that no history class can ever offer. I now have a greater understanding for my own white privilege and the discrimination and systemic racism that still plagues our country today. Although there were fun times and good memories, it is in the problems and bad experiences and occurrences where I find hope. I have hope knowing that there are organizations like the New Georgia Project or Southerners on New Ground that are pushing for change in their communities. I have hope meeting young activists in our greater communities who recognize these issues and are trying to fix them. I found hope through the many exhibitions and museums and speakers we were fortunate enough to experience. I found hope through Emmett Till. But most importantly, I find my hope to the people that I was lucky enough to meet. Kids from all over our state that continue to inspire me, and the adults who continue to support and educate young minds like myself and my peers. My experiences from Joshua Generation and the SUMC mission trip are things that I will cherish for years to come. Although I am still just a kid in high school, both of these trips have helped me realize that I can still make an impact on the world. And hopefully I can leave here today knowing that some of my hope, our hope, has rubbed off on all of you. Thank you, Sean, for letting me speak, and thank you everyone for listening to me saying the word hope way too many times.
The trips and experiences that we have heard about today would not be possible without your support. Your gifts raise people up and touch the lives of so many, both here in our local communities and abroad. Please give because you are grateful for what our church, and more specifically, our youth, have accomplished. Let us keep the tradition of mission alive from this year to the end of all years.